Will the Champion dual fuel 1850 watt generator run your air conditioner or your microwave? Let's find out. The intent of this channel is if you're handy and you don't have unlimited funds or want to go out and finance a very expensive RV and you want to get out there and camp anyways, our intention is to show you how to take something that could be very inexpensive because it needs some work, and using that opportunity to get you out there camping and enjoy it. Everything I'm showing you is either stuff I've done for the first time or done as a result of getting our own projects set up the way we want them. So like, subscribe, follow along, enjoy. It's going to be fun, entertaining, and hopefully educational. Alright folks, what we have here is a Champion dual fuel generator. It's got 1850 running watts, 2500 starting watts. We've been boondocking for a month and it was one of the hottest summers on record, and I have to say it was difficult not having the air conditioner running. So we bought this kind of at a risk. We have a smaller camper. The air conditioner is not huge. I have run the air conditioner on a 1500 watt inverter just as an experiment. So I'm hoping that it's got enough starting amperage to run the air conditioner. And if it does that, I'd be super happy. We chose this based on some reviews, and I chose it because I wanted the inverter style because it's quiet, and the starting wattage in my opinion should be enough to get our air conditioner running without an issue. Once the air conditioner is running, it's not a soft start, so I'm a little bit concerned. So what I'm going to do is just kind of go through the procedure of unboxing this. Apparently there's oil included and there's a break-in procedure, and we're hoping that we can take it with us because this is Wednesday. We're headed out on Sunday, so I want to make sure that this thing is ready to rock and roll for our next trip. So I sprung for the extra money for the dual fuel, and that was totally based on some of the reviews that people had posted on the website, and they said that they bought the gasoline only version and they had regretted not buying the dual fuel because there was some situations where they could have or they either ran out of fuel or fuel wasn't available, but they had propane, or they wanted the option. So my wife and I decided to let's spend a little bit more money and get the dual fuel option because you never know the circumstances. And this will also be an emergency standby generator for a refrigerator in a residence, keep food from spoiling, and run some basic lighting. So anyway, we went with the dual fuel. Those are the reasons. Let's see how it works. So let's cut this thing out of the box. So we got all the safety hazards, you know, don't run the thing inside an enclosed area, blah, blah, blah. Make sure that you run it outside because carbon monoxide kills. I'm hoping that most people are aware of that. Okay, so the first package is the oil it comes with. It is 1030 oil, and the propane regulator, which looks kind of heavy duty. I like that. Standard fitting for a 20-pound propane, and then the fitting that threads into the carburetor. Kind of a cool looking device. It's packaged well. You can see they've got the bubble wrap inside the box. Doesn't look like it's incurred any damage. Instruction manual. So another reason why we chose this one is because it says it has a dry weight of 39 pounds. And the price, you know, we could have went with lithium batteries, more solar panels, all those sorts of things. For what we use the camper for and the amount of times that we need to run the air conditioner, it seemed as though carrying an extra 40 pounds and a couple gallons of fuel in the toy hauler wasn't going to be any much of a problem for us. So, alright, I'm going to read through the instructions. I'm going to figure out what the break-in period is, and I'll walk all you folks through that. Alright, couple cool things. It comes with a funnel to put the oil in because it's a hard to reach location, and it comes with a clip to store the propane hose and the dual fuel regulator. So and it comes with the 4 screws to install it. So that's nice. One observation is it comes with a quick start guide, and if you go to the first page, it says take it out of the box and add oil. What it doesn't tell you in the quick start guide is that you have to take this panel off, the non-pull start side, to access that. Where is that information? Well, it's in the operator's manual, and on page 15 it shows you use a screwdriver to take these 4 screws off. The panel comes off, and now you have access for the funnel. It tells you how to set the oil level. It doesn't take the entire quart. It takes 16.9 fluid ounces or 500 milliliters. So the oil that comes with it is actually pre-measured for you. So you pour the entire thing in, but if you went to a store and bought a quart of oil, you'd only be using about half. So good news is they pre-measured it for you. By the way, this little cover pulls off, that's access for the spark plug. Okay. So if you pull it up from the bottom, it releases, and then these tabs come unhooked from the top. These screws do have a little capturing feature, so they stay in there, they don't get lost. That's a good design. And it's got the big tag on it for the oil, so you gotta make sure it's fairly level. This is the little dipstick with the graduated X's on it that the manual is going to show you that when it's full, it should read on that. So again, it comes with a funnel, which is important. You know, it's nice when it comes with the stuff that you need, because without that, even if you use a conventional funnel, you can see this has like an angled slope to it. Without that, you're just going to dump it all over the ground or all over the side of the generator. So again, this is pre-measured, so you dump the entire contents in. 500 milliliters. One thing you want to make sure when you pull this aluminum foil off the bottle, make sure it doesn't fall down inside. Make sure you get that in your fingers. I've actually read where even some diesel trucks have been ruined because that foil on the mouth of the bottle goes down inside. You don't realize it. You pour it into the machine, and it goes in and it clogs the oiling system, either in the oil filter or in the oil pickup in the pan, and it'll ruin your engine. So whenever you pop open an aluminum foil seal on a bottle, especially for oil, antifreeze, even windshield washer fluid, anything like that, you want to make sure that you get that in your hands and discard of it well away from the fill point of whatever you're working on. So I'm going to let that drain in for a minute, make sure all of the contents of the bottle are in there. And it says put the dipstick in. There's two ways to observe the oil fill level. If you look at it, you can count the threads down of the threaded portion of the block of the engine, and about halfway up the threads with the generator level is about where you should see the oil level. Because the dipstick goes in at an angle, it's going to read across diagonally about halfway. So if you can visually see the oil and you can pull the dipstick and see it across the crosshatch on the dipstick tube, you know you're good. So a couple of important things about checking the oil is it says 1 to 2 threads from running out of the fill hole, which they're trying to illustrate here, and then it says do not screw the dipstick in while checking the oil. If you screw the dipstick in, it's going to actually make you think that it's over full. So you can see here that the diagram is saying that the dipstick is resting on the threaded boss on the engine block. That's how you take an accurate reading of the oil. So this unit comes with all kinds of warnings that there's no oil in it. I don't know how old you folks are, but if you're around in the 80s, you may remember that in the very early 80s there was a huge hurricane that came ashore, and it actually went way inland in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island, and it was the first devastating storm that we had probably since the hurricane of '54, and much of Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts was without power for more than a week, depending on the area you were in. Well, I was employed at Sears and Roebuck at the time, and everybody needed generators, so Sears and Roebuck went out and bought tractor trailer loads of generators, and they sold them at fair market price. Actually, the one admirable thing about that situation is Sears didn't mark them up, 2 or 3 times what you would have been able to buy them for if it wasn't an emergency situation. But anyway, the people came, picked up the generators, filled them with gas, pulled the wire, the cord, plugged it in, and in the matter of 10 minutes they blew up. Well, the reason is they didn't put oil in them, and the manufacturer just assumed that people would know to put oil in them, and we had them come back with holes in the side of the engine by the dozen, and Sears actually warrantied them. So it's the reason why these manufacturers are so adamant about making sure you put oil in them is they go so far as to actually supply the oil and the device to install the oil and all the warning tags. So I don't care where you buy a generator, new or used, make sure you check the oil at least, and if it's brand new, be certain that you're going to have to add oil to it. So the quick start guide is showing you to add the oil, and then it says move the machine outdoors, which we are, and then it says add gasoline. And I want to talk about number 5 in just a moment, but I want to relate what's happening with the factory manual. So we just went through the oil fill. The next step is talking about adding gasoline. They're talking about be careful, don't spill it, don't overfill it, make sure it's a minimum of 1/4 inch below the fill neck. It also talks about the type of fuel that you can run in gasoline. The maximum ethanol mix that they are saying you should run in this is 10%. So E10 or less. Do not run E15 or E85. It could hurt the engine, or it just plain won't run, or if it does run, it won't perform properly because it's not tuned to run on that much ethanol. So we're going to go ahead and put some fuel in it. Now it tells you to put the cover on to start it up. I'm actually going to leave it off because when I put the fuel in, if there was any problem with shipping and fuel leaking and anything like that, you can't see it if the cover is on until it starts running out the bottom. So I'm just going to leave it open. It's not going to hurt anything. And I'm going to go ahead and put some fuel in it. So this is fresh 93 octane fuel. It says the minimum octane that you should run in these is 87. I like running the high test fuel. It tends to have a little bit of a detergent in it to keep the fuel system clean, and it also has the higher octane, especially an air-cooled engine. On a hot summer day, the air-cooled engine is going to appreciate the higher octane. It's probably not going to make any difference in performance, but so there's a vent switch on the top of the machine, and when you run the machine you want to make sure that it's switched in the proper location. When you're transporting it, you want to close that vent so the vapors don't go out into the vehicle or the compartment that it's stored in. So to reiterate that vent location, is it says turn the fuel vent lever to the on position when running the generator. One thing that I want to point out here is it says when you start and stop a generator there shouldn't be anything plugged into it. And there's something with this inverter style generator that if it shuts off with a load, a heavy load, it does something to the magnetization of the armature or the magnets in the machine, or it could perform some electrical damage to the controller that regulates the voltage. So old generators, the old DC or AC generators that weren't inverter type used to actually recommend having something light load plugged into it when you're running it at all times. So I'm going to read through this because I thought that there was something associated with a break-in procedure, so I'm going to read through the rest of this before we pull the cord and try to get it running. Okay, on the Easy Start guide it does talk about turning the lever on the fuel vent on the cap to the on position. Step 2 is to turn it over to the choke position, and once it starts and runs you turn it to the run position. So this is the vent, I just turned it to on. This is the dial they're showing here. There's a propane setting, and then there's a gasoline setting, and then there's the choke setting for gasoline. And I am going to run it on gasoline. We'll do a whole separate segment on the video for propane. So we have a reset if you overload it. We have the propane connection for fuel here. We have the 12-volt charging port here. And this is a place to plug in some terminals for charging batteries, positive and negative. And then the 110 output. And then there's a grounding lug here to go to the chassis of a vehicle if necessary. And then we have the fuel control, and this is a reset for the 12-volt side. So that's the controls on the panel. So again, to start it, you turn the vent to on. If it's cold starting, turn it to gasoline in the choke, which is all the way over, and then once it fires, you return it to the regular gasoline, and it should take off. So again, I'm leaving the cover off just as a curiosity and safety kind of thing. And then it says go ahead and pull the cord. So here goes nothing. Man, that is super quiet. Now, obviously not under load. So what it says is that you should let it get up to full operating temperature before you plug something in. And likewise, when you're done using it, you unplug the load, let it run for a few minutes, and what it does is it lets the thing relax and cool down a little bit before you shut it off while it's at full operating temperature. So it gives the oil a temperature to cool down, the engine itself a chance to cool down. So I couldn't find anything relative to the break-in procedure, but I'm just going to let it run for 15 minutes or so with no load on it, and then I'll plug something into it and see what happens. So that's with the exhaust pointed right at you, and it is super quiet. I have to say, that was a real honest-to-goodness first pull start, so kind of impressive. Alright, it's been running for a couple of minutes. I'm just going to plug in an old box fan that I use in my garage to circulate the air in there. That's just a regular box fan. It doesn't draw a whole lot of power, but it is on the high setting. This generator is running in the eco mode, which means it comes down to an idle until it is demanding full power, and it never even came off of the eco mode plugging that fan in. So I'm just going to let that run for a minute or two to put some time on the generator portion itself, and we'll go from there. Alright, let's get a little more demanding on the power. Start off with unplugging the fan. I'm going to plug in this 4.5-inch grinder. This is 120 volt, 4.2 amps, and it's tired. So let's see what happens. So you can hear the idle pick up in the generator, which is a really cool feature because it only runs at high speed when it needs it. So if you got a little project out in the yard and you want to use 110 power, this is your machine. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to shut this down. It says leave the vent open or in the on position, shut it off, and then let it cool down for 15 minutes or so, and then turn the vent off, because what happens is the gas is expanded because it's hot. And if it cools down, it'll actually make a vacuum and pull all the fuel out of the carburetor and create a vapor lock condition. So that's all per the instruction manual. I don't want to sound like I'm some sort of expert on this, but I'm just trying to provide you as much useful information as possible. So the master shut-off switch is this big yellow rotating knob, and you just turn it all the way to the counterclockwise. And so the real question is, it started up on the first pull, will it start again? So because it's warm, it shouldn't need choke. So I turned it just to the fuel setting. It's always nice when it starts back up, right? So the first thing I want to state for the record is that was in no way sponsored. We paid full price for this, and it is for our own use. It's something that we wanted and needed. And based on the reviews that I read just to make my own decision, there was some things that were relatively helpful, but also maybe not as complete information that I would have really liked to see. So I'm just doing this to share some experience and knowledge with other people. But so far, very well packaged, really good looking machine. Instructions are excellent. It comes with additional features like the funnel to fill the oil. It comes with the initial oil already pre-measured, and it started on the first pull. So that is very encouraging from a consumer and product satisfaction point of view, in my opinion. The second thing is that when it started, it is extremely quiet, which is what I would appreciate, especially having other campers around me. And I hate listening to big old generators just hammering away all night long. I just refuse to do that to other people, and I don't appreciate it when people leave their noisy generators running all night. The second thing is, obviously the generator does work, and the economy mode works great. It sits there and idles and just sips fuel and is whisper quiet when it's not demanding full load. And when you do apply the load, the generator revs up and provides the appropriate amount of voltage. So that voltage control feature is going to save you a lot of fuel. It's going to make it quieter in the long run. It's going to save wear and tear on the unit. So if you're looking for a generator, regardless whether it's this brand or not, those features are something that you certainly want to think about when you're looking for one. I understand what the big question is. The big question is, will this run an air conditioner in an RV? And I found maybe 1 or 2 out of 600 reviews that said, ran my air conditioner without a problem. Well, I want to make sure that it does that for me, and I want to make sure I let you know that as well. So I'm going to run this under light loads for a little longer period of time to kind of give it an opportunity to break itself in, and then I will show you all what happens when I turn the air conditioner on while it's plugged into this unit. So I'm not going to hide anything. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, then that's the answer. So we'll see how that works out. The other thing that I will do is I will do the propane side of this as well, and just to see how that goes, because I'm going to make sure it works. So if I need to plug into one of my propane bottles on the front of my camper, first of all, I know how to do it, and I know that I can depend upon it to work properly. And I'll show all of you folks that as well. So the propane storage feature is actually kind of cool, whether you keep it in your storage compartment in your RV or not. But I just wrapped it around the device. It's got a little detent here to grab a hold of the loose end of the hose, and then it has a little clip, and you just clip it on your generator, and the two components would stay together. Kind of a neat feature. Just you need an 8mm wrench to tighten up the 4 supplied screws, give them a little snug, and she's good to go.
Alright, alls I did, if you didn't see it, alls I did was plug the cord into the camper, start the generator, and then plug the cord into the generator. Again, the instructions say don't start it with any loads on. Now, there is a load because it's transferring the 110 volt to 12 volts, so there's a converter in there that's converting that voltage. So there is a load, even though nothing is turned on in the camper. So you folks are gonna listen and watch what the generator is doing, and I'm gonna go inside with my camera phone and turn the AC on, and you folks tell me what happens out here, okay? Inside the camper, I don't know if you can hear the generator or not, but it's right outside that corner of the camper, and I can barely hear it inside here. Here's the air conditioner, and I'm going to turn it on to low cool first. Well, it didn't like it, so this could be a problem. So it sounds like it kicked the breaker outside. Well, test one didn't go well, did it? Alright, so that kicked the voltage control. I just turned the eco mode off so it's running at full power. Let me see if I can turn the AC on now. The fact that it tried to demand a high load and the generator couldn't accelerate to full load quick enough, it tripped out the breaker. So let's try this method. Let's try this again. What I did was took the generator off of economy mode so it's running at full power, and let's see if it can handle the startup. Okay, that it liked. So that's encouraging, way more encouraging than the initial. So I just turned it on high cool because it's on the coldest setting. So I'm just gonna let it run for a little while and we'll see what happens. Again, we're starting out at 73 degrees. So the generator is running basically at full throttle, but it is running the air conditioner. So you just gotta be thankful that it is doing that. So you have to turn the economy mode off so it's up to full speed, and then turn the air conditioner on. So again, I'm learning as much as I can about this. I just hit the economy button just for curiosity, and it actually came down off of full throttle and is running at what I would consider about half throttle. So what that means is there's a lot of reserve capacity left with the air conditioner running after it started. So that's actually super encouraging, and I hope that is also encouraging to you folks for providing that big giant question: does this little generator run the air conditioner? And in fact it does. Not only does it run it, but it runs it at about half throttle. That's cool. So let's try something here. I think the only monitor that's going to work here is the lower one, because the other two are inside the refrigerator, but the cabin air temperature is the lowest one. So what I'm just trying to prove here, folks, is that in fact the compressor is turned on. It's not just the fan running.
So I can see the temperature dropping slowly. So I'm going to let this run for a minute, and then we'll put the thermometer back up there. You can see it already dropped from 73 to 72. So there is cold air coming out of there. I don't know if I'm holding this thing so it's actually gathering up the... Yeah, it's headed towards 71. Yep. So it's actually dropping quite quickly. It dropped a full degree right there. So it takes a reading every so many seconds. See, it's dropping like 1 degree every 10 seconds. So again, the only point of doing this is to show you folks that the compressor in the air conditioner is activated. So we are, again, we're dropping 1 degree about every 15 seconds. All right, we'll come back to this in a minute. All right, folks, I just wanted to confirm that the air conditioner is running, the generator is back in economy mode, and it's running at about half throttle like you saw from the outside camera, and the temperature is still dropping dramatically. You know, it's going down 10 degrees, and this has only been maybe 3 minutes. So, and it's about to drop down one more time. There it is, 63.3. It's heading towards 62. Again, I want to make sure that you folks are certain that the compressor is running in the air conditioner and it's not just the fan blowing. I'm not trying to pull any tricks. This is the real load. It's on the coldest setting and basically full throttle on the air conditioner itself, the coldest setting and the highest output setting. And it is continuing to drop. And again, the most encouraging thing for me is that generator is running at about half throttle. So there is some reserve capacity left in the system. So you're not maxing out the generator every time you turn the AC on. So this is a win for us. I'm excited. Hopefully this is good information for you folks also. All right, one true test here. Will it run the microwave? Everybody likes popcorn, right? So the generator was in economy mode, so I had to wait for you saw the light dim in the microwave, and then the motor revved up in the generator, and it is running it. Now the generator is running wide open right now, so it will run the microwave. It's just a matter of, you know, it won't run anything else but the microwave at the same time. But it does run it, so another win, right? Alright folks, hopefully you found this interesting, helpful, useful information for the dual fuel Champion 2500 watt starting wattage and 1850 running watt generator. So let me know what you think in the comments. If you're with me this long, obviously you found it entertaining or interesting. So give me a thumbs up and the like button if you would, please. Thanks again. We'll see you in the next video.